let's be honest, Dying Light 2, when it launched, honestly wasn't that great. A lot of people prefer the predecessor, Dying Light 1, unsure of this new main protagonist, Aiden, being forced to care about a sister we don't really know a whole lot about that's explained through the game, new map, new characters, bugs, heaps of bugs. So let's be realistic, Dying Light 2 when it came out wasn't great, to be honest. It was quite average, and obviously now it's been quite a few years since the sequel to the beloved original Dying Light's release. There's been fixes, patches, updates. It's now Dying Light 2 Reloaded Edition because they brought guns back and stuff, and they fixed a bunch of stuff as well, loads of improvements, etc, etc. So this is really just like a retrospective video because I'm playing Dying Light 2 again now. I was just in the mood to start a new playthrough. I hadn't played it since it became Reloaded Edition, so I haven't played it for like 4 years now. 2022, we're in 2026. 2022 was the last time I played it, so it's been a good 3.5, 4 years now, basically. So I thought, you know what, I'll go back in, I'll start a brand new playthrough and just kind of re-experience the game from the get-go. Get my achievements, because I haven't 100%ed it. I still have all the collectibles to get. I've got a couple of things I missed out on. I've got all the story achievements. I finished the game. Very underwhelming, at least the ending I got anyway. So I really want to just take a quick look at it. It's not going to be a super long video. They're not normally long with me, guys, you know that. Got some longer videos in the works, obviously, because people want them, but this isn't one of them. Obviously, we'll start with the good stuff. The parkour in this game, it does take a bit of getting used to, because it is different to Dying Light 1. Instead of building up speed and momentum, you kind of you hold right bumper to do longer jumps and stuff like that. And your buttons are a little bit different to what they were in the original game. And you've got parkour combat as well, mixing parkour into fighting. So it takes a bit of getting adjusted to, and jumping back and forth between Dying Light 1 and 2, it definitely is a bit of a head fuck. Because they're just too... Even though the concept is the same, parkour zombie game, the controls are different enough that jumping back and forth between the two games is a little bit trippy. And it takes a bit of readjustment every time you do it. Obviously, if you're playing them a year apart, then you're readjusting regardless. But the parkour in this game is great. It's a lot more fleshed out than the first game ever was. We've got wall running, tic-tacs, wall jumping, ropes, scaffolding and stuff that we jump on. You've got tubes, you can slide on the side of buildings. You've got a paraglider, and the scale as well. So on the first part of the map, Old Villador, obviously it's very much kind of similar to Haran in a way. A lot of level rooftops, very easy to traverse kind of horizontally, but when you get to New Villador to the centre, that's when you've got a lot more verticality than we ever had in the first game. It's insane how high some of the buildings go, and if you can figure out a way up, you can get up there, there's nothing stopping you. And obviously you throw yourself off then and paraglide, which again, not something you could do in the first game. Combat as well in this game feels a lot better. Got a lot of similar moves, drop kicking and the power attack, throwing weapons, etc, etc. But obviously you've got parkour combat, so jumping over enemies, vault kicking, jumping on enemies from above and kicking them or slamming their face into the floor. Actual proper melee combat, so parrying, dodging, grappling enemies, again, a lot more fleshed out than the first game. So there's some good stuff here. The main systems, combat and parkour, which are the main two facets, really, of Dying Light, really, when you think about it. They're there. They're solid, really, really good, really, really fleshed out, and they work really, really well. Obviously, along with this game came a gear system, so unlike the first game, where we played as Crane, you could obviously change your appearance, but that was it. In this game, your appearance changes, but your gear actually matters, because there's classes, medic, brawler, tank, etc. So it actually matters if you're going for a specific build, you want specific stats. Again, a lot more in-depth, not something the first game had, so again, really, really good. Now, the downside of this game, one of the things that kind of, even now, years later, kind of annoys me, is when this game was coming up to release and did release, one of the big selling points was the story, split paths and dialogue options. Not something we'd had in a Dying Light before, granted only the second one, but still, it was something new. And to be honest, the dialogue options and stuff, a lot of the time, and the choices and the consequences are very underwhelming. And the reason I say that, and I've had this problem with the game since I played it originally, I still do now, is in the main story, 90% of the time, your options are either side with peacekeepers or side with survivors, pretty much. Those are your options most of the time. However, when you're just playing the open world, just in general, There are facilities, so either a water tower or an electrical substation that you can activate, and then you get to pick whether that goes to survivors, and it becomes a survivor-controlled district, giving you more parkour helpers, etc. Or you give it to the PKs, or the Peacekeepers, and it becomes a PK-controlled district, so more traps, more outposts, etc., more men on duty patrolling the streets. You get to pick. But the annoying thing is, the story and the kind of open world, there's a big disconnect. So you could give the entire map to the survivors. So you could give every single facility to the survivors and completely ignore the PKs the entire way through. But then you could side with the PKs throughout the entire campaign main story, and it's fine. But it makes no sense because you've given everything to the other faction, but you're siding with the wrong... Like, there's a massive disconnect there. So this playthrough, my original playthrough, I completely sided with the survivors. And I did bounce back and forth in my main story, helping the Peacekeepers every so often, which I didn't really kind of understand because I haven't given them anything. If anything, I'm not helping them out at all. In this playthrough, I've kind of bounced back and forth. I've given one to survivors, one to Peacekeepers, one more to survivors, another one to the Peacekeepers, and kind of balanced it out. I don't know if that's going to make a difference. Maybe they've updated the game since I originally played it. Now that's completely different. I don't know. So far, it doesn't seem like it. So far, I've just been free to side with whoever I want to side with, and there's been no consequence of who I've given facilities to. So I guess they just don't care. So obviously, it's not something that's going to change now. The game's been out for far too long, and it's such a core system. It's not something they're going to be able to go in and tweak. It's not something you can tweak. It's something you need to completely rip up and change. So I obviously understand why it's not going to, but it really annoys me to this day that it was such a hyped up thing. Be like, you've got dialogue choices and branching storylines, wah! And then there's this massive disconnect between what you're doing in the open world, giving facilities to survivors, but then you're siding with the Peacekeepers, and at no point do these guys turn around and go, well, hang on a minute, mate. You're helping us out, but at the same time, you're not giving us anything, so why should we help you? I'm surprised at no point does it kind of lock you out, being like, oh, well, you haven't given this faction X amount of facilities, you've given it to this faction, therefore this storyline is blocked off to you because of your decisions in the open world. It doesn't do that. Some of the dialogue as well feels a bit cringy at times. Some of it's really well written, but at other times then, the quest on screen at the moment, this is a side quest where the only thing to do is just talk. I don't know why that's a thing we decided to do. It's not a side quest, guys. That's just interaction that takes 2 minutes, and I could skip the entire thing if I want to do, and get a reward for it, which makes no sense. And speaking of side quests, half of the side quests in the game aren't side quests. They're just challenges in disguise, and I hate that. If I want to do a parkour or a combat challenge, then I'll go do it. If I see a side quest, I want to do a side quest. I expect, a little bit of a kind of a mini story and something to do. Not just some dialogue. Here's a challenge. You've got to get at least a bronze medal in. Well done, you did the bare minimum. Here's your reward. That's crap, guys. That's lazy. That's so lazy. It's just boring. And so many of the side missions are literally challenge, like garlic and sardines challenge, or the brewer's beekeeper challenge, or protecting the boys or something. If it says challenge, you already know it's not really a side mission. It's talk to this individual for a minute, unlock a challenge right next to them, do the challenge, get the bare minimum medal, which is bronze, which is easy, and then get paid for it. There's no story. There's no go and do this or rescue this person, or let me tell you my really depressing story before the outbreak. It's just lame. Some side quests are alright. Some of them are genuinely full-on side quests, like go into this dark zone and put down this dog, which sucked. I hated that mission, and it's not just put down the dog, it's two kids are messing with the dog, and it's in a dark zone, and you can either leave the dog there suffering, or you can do the merciful thing and put it down. Obviously, I put it down. I'm not a horrible human being. I'm not going to leave him there to get munched on while he's still alive. If you did that, you need help. But, it just irks me that so many of the side missions are just challenges in disguise, so I don't like that either. My ending as well, when I finished the game originally all the way back in 2022, was incredibly underwhelming. It sucked, basically. I didn't like the ending I got at all. And the final boss fight of the game is so shit. It's so crap. I remember vividly even now doing it with Alex, because we obviously played the game co-op, and we were both just laughing at how stupidly bad it was. So the finale is atrociously bad. Granted, the first Dying Light story was kind of not great either, and even the ending of the first game was kind of it wasn't great. So I feel like on that front, Dying Lights you don't really play them for the story. Like, I don't feel like anyone does. You kind of play them because of what they are. Zombie apocalypse game with phenomenal parkour movements, some of the best we've ever had in or do have in game, and it's incredibly good. And I just feel like with Dying Light 2, it made the mistake of trying to be something it wasn't. It tried to go in the direction of, we're going to be like a little story game and stuff, and like, the parkour's great. Obviously, they've improved on that, and it's a lot better than the first game, but I just feel like they no one's playing this game really for the story. We're just playing, the story's just a byproduct of fun zombie game where I can climb buildings and throw myself off them and stuff and have a good time, basically. So, putting so much of that focus and effort into the story and dialogue stuff and shit that long-term doesn't really matter, to be honest. Whereas you could have just put that energy into getting even better parkour than what the game already has, and just doing a bare bones story like you did the first game, because realistically, no one remembers the first Dying Light because it had an incredible story with some really good written dialogue and memorable characters. Don't get me wrong, there are some memorable characters, Jade, obviously Crane, everyone knows Crane, of course they do. Voiced by Roger Craig Smith, of course you know who he is. So it's not to say there aren't memorable characters for the first game, and it's not to say the first game has, all bad dialogue either. Of course it doesn't, but like, no one's like, oh, remember that no one's in 10 years from now, or even, well, saying that's been over 10 years since Dying Light did release. No one's in 2025, 26 going, oh, remember Dying Light? Oh yeah, I remember the story was great. No one's saying that. The first thing you go into is, oh yeah, the parkour was awesome, and I loved it. That is the first thing you go into, because it was what I did best. It was incredibly good. So, I don't know, I feel like the second game just focused in the wrong areas. It's not a bad game, don't get me wrong. I'm playing it now and I'm having a whale of a time. It's great, but I know in the back of my mind, like, I don't really care about the story because I don't really care about many of these characters. I think the one I like the most, honestly, is Hakon. He's great. I love him. It's just really good dialogue there, so well done for that. But for the most part, I don't really care. I end up skipping a lot of the dialogue. I end up skipping a lot of the cutscenes because I'm just itching to get to the next bit and actually just play the game. I don't really give a shit about sitting there for really long, drawn-out conversations about stuff I don't really care about. And that's not a me problem, because I can very much sit there and enjoy story-driven games. I've 100% of The Witcher 3, for God's sake. And if any of you play that, you know how long that takes. You know how many dialogue options there are. You know how much talking there is. So when it's done well, and it makes sense that we've got that in the game, by all means. It just doesn't feel like it's at place here. It feels out of place, and it just feels wrong. So, I don't know. You let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. That's my video on Dying Light 2. Tried this one unscripted. I haven't written a script for this. I've just winged it with my thoughts on the fly to see if it feels a little bit more natural. So let me know if you prefer it this way, and I'll just do it like this going forward, where I just sit down 15-20 minutes, just bash out exactly how I feel about the game, and just put that in the video instead of writing a full-on script to follow word for word. So let me know if you prefer this kind of more relaxed kind of, yeah, that's just what are you thinking. That's why it's a lot more umming and ahhing, but it feels a bit more genuine for me, but let me know. Obviously, if you enjoy content like this, drop a sub. I drop a video like this every single Friday at the exact same time every week, 5 o'clock. And I have shorts running then throughout the week as well, 1 o'clock every day. Obviously, other than Fridays, because that's usually when I'm uploading my next main video. Got some longer videos on the way as well, guys. I'm just working on them. They're going to take me a while because I'm trying to do them around working, obviously, a full-time job. I work long hours as well, so it's just a bit awkward because my days off are random every week, so there's no consistency. So it's just finding time, really, where I can kind of sit down, get a little bit done, put it to the side, sit down again, etc, etc. But I am working on some longer videos as well, so for those of you that like long-form content, there is some on the way. I just need you to bear with me while it's going to take me another couple of weeks yet while I'm working on it. But if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, drop a sub if you like content like this. Like I said, 1 video every week on a Friday, 5 o'clock UK time. Let me know what you think of Dying Light 2. Do you prefer Dying Light 1? Do you like Dying Light 2? Do you disagree with me? And if so, why? And last thing, no spoilers for Dying Light the Beast. I haven't got it yet and I haven't played it yet, so please don't spoil anything, because if you do, I will just remove the comment, because I've done my absolute best to stay away from that game to not spoil anything. So if I catch anyone trying to drop spoilers, I will just remove the comment, and you just won't be able to comment, basically, because I'm not having that game ruined for me before I've played it. So, without further ado, I'm going to dip, get this video sorted, ready to upload for Friday. Much love as always, guys, and I'll hopefully see you all in next week's video. Take care, bye-bye.